بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده المنتجب ورسوله المرتضى وأشهد أنكم الأئمة الراشدون المهديون المعصومون المكرمون اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فوجد عبدا من عبادنا آتيناه رحمة من عندنا وعلمناه من لدنا علما. When they went back to that rock, that's where they saw. They found a servant from among our servants, whom we had granted mercy from ourselves and whom we had taught knowledge from ourselves. This is Hazrat Khizr. Not mentioned by name, but mentioned by his qualities and the fadail. You know, those Muslims who say that if Ali was really the naib of Rasulullah, why didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala name him? You have a long story in Qur'an of a person and Allah doesn't even give his name there. So don't go and ask me, go and ask him. This is his way of doing things. Many times he describes qualities, he doesn't give the name. So just because the name of Ali is not there doesn't mean that all these ayat of fadail of Ali did not apply to him. This is where you have to look at the Qur'an and the Sunnah of Nabi together, and that is where you get the complete Islam. And Islam only with Qur'an is an incomplete Islam. And this is the example here, that you have a whole story. It would have been very logical from our human point of view to write the name. If Musa is being mentioned, why not Khizr? Instead of saying فَوَجَدَ عَبْدًا, he could have said فَوَجَدَ خِضْرًا عَبْدًا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا. Very simple, just one word. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't do that. Now when we talk about the last statement, وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِنْ لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا, basically the knowledge of Khizr was not acquired from any human source. It was a divine grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the ulum, ilm is iktisabi or what we call mawhabati. Iktisabi means what we go and acquire by learning from others. Mawhabati is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to someone. The Anbiya, the Mursaleen and the Aimma, the knowledge that they had was not iktisabi, it was not acquired. It was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we use the term Ilm-e-Ladunni. I'm sure you heard about that term. That comes from this statement. وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِنْ لَدَيْنَا ilma. That this is where the concept of Ilm-e-Ladunni comes in, that this is the special grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to his awliya. And this is where we have to realize that Musa and Khizr both had ilm-e-ladunni from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Musa's knowledge comes from Allah. Khizr's knowledge also comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there were some areas of differences. There are things that Musa had which Khizr didn't have. There were things that Khizr had been given but Musa had not been given. And this is where, takes me back to the forward actually from this story to the story of Islam itself. That when we look at, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he is one example of Ilm-e-Ladunni. You will see that, in spite of all the differences which is there among, Muslim historians, there are many during the days of Banu Umayyah who made up stories about Amir al-Mu'mineen to put his image down. But never were they able to come up with a fabrication of a story where they will say that Ali is a student of so and so. You heard everything against Ali from Banu Umayyah's, propaganda department. But nobody dare ever say that Ali got his ilm from someone. Because this would have been, what do we call, total lie which cannot be hidden. And this is one of the distinction of Amir al-Mu'mineen, that the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given to him. If there was a teacher for him, it was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As the Prophet himself said that everything which was given to all the prophets before me. So even Khizr and Musa combined in that group. Rasulullah was given all that. Plus many things he has that they didn't have. And all this, Rasulullah says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded me to leave that as a legacy to you, or Ali. This is where we hear this concept of, Ana Madinatul Ilm wa Aliyun Babuha. And so on that level, this is where we see that, if you have iktisabi ilm, if somebody asks you a question, you will say, okay, let me think about it, let me study it, let me do research, and then I'll come with my expert opinion. So I'll give you an opinion, but it will take some time to do study and research. But Amir al-Mu'mineen, whenever they asked him anything, any kind of question, he would give the answer right away. In the Manaqib of Amir al-Mu'mineen, there is a narration by Abdullah ibn Abbas, very interesting once, that Umar ibn Khattab asked Ali. He was also kind of amazed of this, dimension of Ali, and he says, Ya Abul Hasan, innaka lata'jal fil hukmi wal fasl lishay iza su'ilta anhu. Oh Ali, you make very hasty judgments about questions which are put to you. You immediately give the answer. You don't, think about it. You don't reflect on it, which is unusual. فَعَبَرَضَ عَلِيٌّ كَفَّهُ. Ali just extended his hand. And he says, how many fingers I have? And Umar said, 5. And Amir al-Mu'min says, Ajjalta ya Aba Hafs. Oh, you also just said it 5 right away. And this is where, Umar ibn Khattab says, La lam yakhfa alayya. The fact that you have 5 fingers was not hidden to me. So I just said it right away. And this is where Ali says, وَأَنَا أَسْرَى فِي مَا لَا يَخْفَى عَلَيَّ. Whenever you put things to me, it's just like I'm asking you how many fingers I have. Salawat parne ek baar. Then